Welcome to Shreveport Connection. This is Tommy. For those that don't know, I just told you so. Okay, this video is on your Monday Night Raw NXT 3 weeks with some returning stars such as Alex Riley. Big Lazy Kevin Nash was in one of the episodes as he was, you will soon find out. Alright, on with the news here. All right, Perry Saturn spent the past week working with WWE developmental talents in NXT in Tampa, Florida. This would be Perry's third or fourth trip to developmental in this past year. Dark match was Conor O'Brien defeating Oliver Gray. Wade Barrett defeated the returning Alex Riley in the dark match prior to the tapings. And this is the first episode airing January 2nd, so they are well ahead of schedule. Garrett Dillon versus an unnamed worker ends in a no contest when the Shield takes both wrestlers out. Ambrose cut a promo after the match, and Dusty Rhodes comes out and makes a main event match for the NXT Championship. Bo Dallas in the first match defeated Epico with Primo. We got Tamina Snuka defeating Sasha Banks. Cassius Ono and Leo Kruger defeated Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd. Corey Graves defeated NXT champion Seth Rollins by disqualification after the match. The entire NXT locker room came out to stop the Shield, but they weren't there. They weren't enough. Big E Langston appeared near the crowd and stared down the Shield to close the show. And then they taped episode 2, airing January 9th. The show opened in NXT Commissioner Dusty Rhodes' office where the Shield was meeting him. Rhodes informed Seth Rollins that he will defend his NXT Championship tonight, this time against Big E Langston, who also in Rhodes' office. And will be a no disqualification match. Rhodes wished Langston good luck tonight. Percy Watson and Yoshitatsu were waiting in the ring for their next bout. When Bray Wyatt came out on stage, Wyatt cut a promo about the audience and the Wyatt family. Wyatt introduced Luke Harper and Rowan as he sat in a rocking chair on the stage. The Wyatt family defeated Percy Watson and Yoshitatsu in that match. Paige, Emma is a new wrestler. Paige defeated Emma with the Paige Turner. Okay, I do have a recent pic of Emma. I will post on my Facebook later on when I get home off work. Epico and Primo defeated Bo Dallas and Michael McGillicuddy with Primo hitting the backstabber on McGillicuddy. So I'm wondering if they're going to come in to back to the main roster as a tag team. Big E Langston defeated NXT champion Seth Rollins in a no disqualification match to become the new champion. After all, Seth Rollins is with the guys with the Shield and will be making his main event debut at TLC. Okay, well, after the match, the NXT roster celebrated with Big E in the ring. Langston also celebrated with Dusty Rhodes, and the WWE executive Triple H also congratulated him. Episode number 3, airing January 16th, 2013. Kevin Nash opens this show, says he is the guest commissioner of the night. Nash announces Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd versus Damon Sandow and the United States champions Antonio Cesaro. And immediately after that, Heath Slater interrupts and Nash delivers a jackknife powerbomb for his efforts. Adrian Neville defeated Sakamoto. And that's the guy that comes down with Tensai. Well, Trent Beretta also has been back in NXT. He defeated Leo Kruger by disqualification due to the interference from Cassius Ohno. NXT champion Big E Langston makes his way to the ring and tells the crowd that we are in the era of 5. Langston gets the crowd to start chanting 5 over and over until Camacho interrupts. And this is a non-title match. And thus, of course, this first match, Big E defeated Camacho. His first match as champion. Dark match main event, Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd defeated Damien Sandow and Antonio Cesaro. Well, okay, some familiar faces could be returning to WWE next coming months, as there has been a push for several top talents for the organization to bring back some solid hand wrestlers that were previously released. With the lack of depth on the main roster now, CM Punk being injured, WWE officials are giving serious consideration to the suggestion. Individuals that they have in mind would be of the mid-card variety to assist younger talent, as well as provide solid performances for the company. There was a short list of potential names WWE is interested in, but no one has been contacted yet, and no names have yet been released. And I heard a small rumor for former WWE Tag Champs. The Hardy Boys could be two of them. Look for a Jeff Hardy disappearance from TNA. Like, for instance, my prediction, Aces and Eights, take him out in February. Similar to just recently, over the last 2 weeks, Eric Young, whose contract had actually ended. And just recently he re-signed a couple days ago, right before Impact. Well, he wasn't even on the program. And Jeff Hardy's contract ends in February. Thanks to Brandon Randolph for passing some the Superstars results. Tensai defeated Zack Ryder. Brodus Clay defeated David Otunga. Well, there was a Raw live event from Florence, South Carolina. Y'all know it's a Flair country. At the Civic Center, and it came from Jamario Harrison. He said it was a pretty good show, considering that there was another WWE show held at the same time in Anderson, South Carolina. And the show really exceeded the expectations. A lot of television angles were furthered, and it was surprising that all the top Raw stars were there. The Civic Center in Florence holds about 10,000 people, and I guess I'd say it was about 1/3 of the way full, consisting mostly of kids and parents. The last time that they were there, about 4 months ago, the crowd was more pro babyface, but this time the crowd was like many of the TV crowds has been getting lately, in that they cheer or boo both the heels and faces. Match number 1, Brodus Clay with the Funkadactyls defeated Michael McGillicuddy. Brodus and the dancers got a good pop from the crowd, as expected. Brodus looks like he's gotten smaller and seems to move around in the ring better than before. Match number 2, Zack Ryder defeated Corey Graves. When they announced this match, I seriously began to think that they were going to get the undercard and midcard guys the entire show. Ryder was super over with the kids and adults. Graves got good heel promo and got decent heat. And it really made me continue to think that there was a good talent down in NXT, which is good sign for WWE. Santino Marella in the third match over Tensai. Typical Santino house show comedy match. Very little wrestling, but a fun match for the kids, I suppose. Match number 4, Ryback and Team Hell No defeated Punk, Primo, and Epico. This was an odd pairing, at least on the heel side, but was a pretty good match. And this was done before Raw, because after Raw was where he got injured. There were a ton of CM Punk fans in the audience, so he didn't receive the massive heat that you'd expect. I think many of us were just excited to make the trip this time, and maybe the Ryback would be able to get his hands on him without the Shield getting involved. Kane and Daniel Bryan both got huge reactions. Nothing could have compared to the way that the crowd became unglued when Ryback's music played. The match lasted about 15 minutes, and babyfaces went over as expected, but the highlights was the Shield running out to attack Ryback again, which I don't think anyone expected. This time, however, Ryback was able to get the better of them, and help from Team Hell No. Punk ate the shell shot from Ryback to end in the match. Match number 5, AJ and Caitlyn defeated Eve and Rosa. And at the SmackDown tapings from 2 weeks ago now, no divas were there. In fact, when I was exited the arena, watching all the wrestlers come out, there was only one blonde chick, don't know who she was, that was there. Huge reaction for AJ, not so much for everyone else, but I guess the fans were trying to stay consistent with the TV crowds. AJ and Caitlyn hugged before and after the match. That doesn't bother most people, but I know that there were a few of us who pay attention to the storylines and thought it was a bit odd. Eve took off in the middle of the match, leaving Rosa to take Caitlyn's finisher and eat the loss. Match number 6, Antonio Cesaro defeated Jack Swagger, who is returning to action as well. And R-Truth in a triple threat match to retain the U.S. title. I'm assuming this means Swagger will be returning to TV. And when Christian was away for a while, he came back soon after a house show match. At first, I thought Swagger would be working as a face when he returned, but at the last minute, R-Truth was added to the match. Truth is from Charlotte, so he received a nice reaction. And in the end, Cesaro stole the pin on Truth from Swagger to retain. Match number 7, John Cena defeated Dolph Ziggler. Cena got a large mixed reaction from the crowd, as there were a lot of rebellious male demographic in the stands, dueling "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" chants, there was maybe like 5 fans in the whole, like 3,000, 4,000 people that was in the CenturyLink Center for SmackDown TV taping. And a lot of their falls that left a glimmer of hope to us Dolph Ziggler fans. But he avenged that unnecessary loss from Raw. Dolph reversed the attitude adjustment about 4 times, and which really makes Cena look even one-dimensional for attempting it so often. It does seem like WWE is trying to slowly position Ziggler as the main eventer since Punk is out of action. But I think they are content with him being the guy who makes everyone look great in the defeat for now. Cena hit him with an attitude adjustment on the 4th try for the win in a well-wrestled match. Okay, dark match after the Raw show was CM Punk versus Ryback for the WWE Championship. Former ECW standout, super crazy, Francisco Islas Rueda turned 39 years old. He was born December 3rd, 1973. He continues to wrestle in Mexico and Japan on a regular basis. Well, I had to do some really deep down investigations on this because another friend of mine was asking him, where is super crazy lately? Japanese pro wrestler legend Riki Chosu, that's aka Mitsuo Yoshida, turned 61 years old. He was born December 3rd, 1951. Former wrestler Katsushi Shinsaki turned 46 on Sunday, formerly of WWE, WWF. He was born December 2nd, 1966. He also wrestled as Jinsei Shinzaki in the United States and Japan. He worked at the 2011 King of the Trio tournament for Chikara. Former TNA Knockout Trinity, a.k.a. Stephanie Finocchio, turned 41 on Saturday. She was born December 1st, 1971. Same year my brother was born. Former WCW wrestler Dave Sullivan, real name Bill Dannenhauer, turned 49 years old on Saturday. Evad was born December 1st, 1963. And worked as a football coach and an athletic director at Dana College, which closed its doors in 2010. Following matches were listed for 8 p.m. Central Time airing of the AWA on ESPN Classic. W.T. Jones and John Pitsuka versus the Lumberjacks. George Anderson and Russian Brute. George Anderson versus Russian Brute. Tom Stone versus Tommy Jammer. Steve Berg and Mike Braham versus Johnny Stewart and Mike Enos. DJ Peterson versus Larry Zbyszko was probably the main event. A pair of 30-minute UWF shows were beginning airing on ESPN Classic at 9 p.m. Central Time. Dr. Death Williams, Bob Orton Jr., Cactus Jack, Danny Spivey, and Brian Blair were advertised for those shows. And Raw opened up with a hype for Sheamus versus Big Show and Dolph Ziggler versus John Cena. We see footage of all 4 men from Friday SmackDown. Cena and Sheamus versus Show and Ziggler will happen tonight. They shift to focus on the Shield. We're live from Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina, as the pyro goes off. And out comes the tag team champions, Kane and Daniel Bryan. Michael Coleslaw welcomes us to Raw, and he's joined by Jerry the King Lawler. Kane and Daniel Bryan versus Darren Young and Titus O'Neil. First match, the champs hit the ring, and we see Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns watching from the top of the crowd. Kane takes the mic and challenging to come down to the ring. A "You Suck" chant breaks out at the Shield. They keep staring at the ring as Darren Young and Titus O'Neil make their way out. Kane and Titus start things off, going at it. Kane fights Titus off and Young. Kane cleans house and sends them both to the floor, and we see Dean Ambrose looking on. It looks like Rollins and Reigns have left the skybox. Bryan and Young go at it now. Bryan unloads with kicks in the corner and another tag to Kane. Kane captures control of Young and covers for a 2 count. Kane goes back to work on Young and works over on his arm. Kane tags in Bryan for some double teaming. Bryan works Young over and covers for another 2 count. We see Reigns at a different part of the crowd now. Kane comes back in and Young turns it around on him. Titus tags back in and beats Kane down in the corner. Kane sends Young to the floor and tags in Bryan. Bryan leaps off the apron onto Young, and it appears that the Shield are moving closer to the ring. We still don't see Rollins as Reigns. And Ambrose make their way down to the steps in the crowd. We go to commercial. Back from the commercial, and Titus is going at it with Kane. Titus drops him on the clothesline for a 2 count. Young and Bryan come in and keeps Young, and Young keeps control. Then we finally see Reigns and Ambrose at the fan barrier now. Kane and Bryan got distracted. Young shoves Bryan into Kane and rolls him up for a 2 count, but Bryan counters and gets a win. After the bell, Ambrose and Reigns attack Kane on the floor. Bryan comes in for the save in the ring, but Rollins enters in the ring and stops him. Reigns and Ambrose trap Kane's arm between the steel steps and go to town on it. Rollins beats Bryan down. Reigns and Ambrose come in and help Rollins to continue the attack on Bryan. The fans chant for Ryback. The Shield lay out Bryan with a three-man powerbomb and leave the ring. Going through the crowd, we get replays as Kane rolls in the ring to check on Bryan. Next up, we got John Cena and Sheamus are backstage talking. Sheamus thanks him for his help on SmackDown, and they converse and get ready for tonight's tag match. AJ Lee is walking backstage, and she will be in action up next. Back to commercial. Tamina Snuka versus AJ Lee. Back from the break. Tamina Snuka waits in the ring as AJ makes her way to the ring. Bell rings. AJ immediately ducks a clothesline. AJ gets on her back, and as they tangle, Tamina tosses AJ across the ring, but she comes back for more. Tamina rams AJ's back into the corner. AJ counters and goes to the top. Tamina pulls her back to the mat by her arm. Tamina works over AJ on the mat. Tamina with more offense and a 2 count. Tamina takes AJ to the top and puts her in a modified rack. AJ goes down but comes back fighting. AJ kicks Tamina but drops her with an elbow. Tamina with another pin attempt and more offense. Tamina with a big headbutt. Tamina drags AJ over and goes for the top, but AJ rolls her out of nowhere for the win. Coleslaw and the King are talking about Ryback when CM Punk comes out with Paul Heyman. Back from the break, and Heyman has a copy of the new WWE Encyclopedia. There isn't enough content about CM Punk in it, he says. Heyman points out that Punk will surpass John Cena on the WWE Champion list this week. Heyman goes on and says Punk should be front and center on WWE's Mount Rushmore. Punk takes a mic and talks. He talks about beating Ryback in Hell in a Cell and then Ryback and Cena at Survivor Series. Punk wonders why he's being forced to defend at TLC against Ryback again. Punk starts dribbling into the fans, and Punk brings up the Shield and how people are saying thanks to them. He's still the WWE Champion. Punk takes that. Says that is a lie. Punk goes on and says he is the reason that fans are here tonight. Punk says if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have anything to look forward to in this dismal 3-hour show. Punk says he had nothing to do with Brad Maddox and has nothing to do with the Shield. Punk says he is the hottest thing going in WWE today. He dares fans to change the channel. He then dares the fans in the arena to get up and leave. The music hits, and out comes Miz to interrupt from stage. And everybody likes what Miz calls him very shortly. Miz comes out and plays to the fans in face this time. Miz says Punk lies and nobody believes him. They keep arguing and Punk challenges him to come to the ring and take a GTS. Miz says that's exactly why he's out here. Miz challenges Punk to come on an episode of Miz TV and prove that he has nothing to hide by taking a lie detector test. Punk says that the Guilford County Sheriffs have gave him the equipment needed. Heyman speaks now and mentions that Punk thinks bad about Miz behind the scenes. Miz calls Heyman a human walrus. So I thought it was Punk they called a walrus, but it's Heyman. The crowd starts chanting Walrus at Heyman. Punk demands that the fans apologize to Heyman right now. They go on for a few minutes, and we are set for later. Still to come, Sheamus and Cena versus Ziggler and Show. John Cena and Sheamus versus Dolph Ziggler and Big Show is up next. Back for the break, and out comes Cena, and then his partner Sheamus. Dolph is out next, followed by his partner, the heavyweight champion, Big Show. Sheamus and Ziggler start things out. They go at it, and Sheamus takes Ziggler to the mat. They run the ropes, and Ziggler drop kicks Sheamus before applying a headlock. Cena comes in and unloads on Ziggler before taking him to the mat. Ziggler drops Cena with a right hand and tags in Show. They lock up, and Show sends him to the corner. Cena comes back, and Show knocks him out of the air. Show stands on Cena and works him over in the corner some more. Show with some chops in the corner. Cena ducks the next chop and goes for a scoop slam, but Show falls right on top of him for a 2 count. Ziggler tags in and drops a bunch of elbows on Cena. Ziggler gets a 2 count. Sheamus and Show get tags and come in now. Sheamus unloads and goes to the top. Sheamus goes for the battering ram, but Show spears him in midair. We go to commercial. Back from the break. Show continues to beat Sheamus up. Ziggler comes in and drop kicks Sheamus for a 2. Sheamus fights out and hits the Irish Curse backbreaker. Cena tags in and knocks Show off the apron. Cena unloads on Ziggler and goes for an attitude adjustment, but Show runs in and breaks it up. Sheamus goes for the brogue kick, but Show catches him. Sheamus hits white noise on Show while Cena simultaneously hits the attitude adjustment on Ziggler, and they both get pinfalls. We see footage from earlier tonight where CM Punk denied being aligned with the Shield. Then the interruption by The Miz, and he wants Punk to take a lie detector test tonight. That will happen later on. Back to commercial. Back from the breakout comes Damien Sandow. He cuts a promo on the way to the ring, and he decided to let one of the fans in the crowd try out to be his apprentice again. Sandow asks him some questions, but he doesn't know the third. Sandow rips into him and orders him to leave the ring. Out comes Sandow's opponent, Santino Marella. Santino comes out and tries to ask Sandow a question. Santino tries to hit him with a microphone, but Sandow lays him out. Santino gets up, ready to fight as we go to commercial. I believe Santino asked him a question about the about something about the microphone when it's some type of whatever. Back from the break, Santino was going at it with Sandow. After Sandow had laid him out, Santino got up, ready to fight. When they came back from the commercial break, Santino does some power walking and covers Sandow for a 2. Sandow turns it around right and drops some knees to the gut. Sandow with knees to the head. Sandow hits the elbow with disdain and covers for a 2 count. Santino counter with a roll up. Santino came back with a right hand and hip toss. Santino pulls out the Cobra, but Sandow leaves the ring and runs back in. He attacks Santino and comes in and stomps away. Sandow throws the Cobra out of the ring, but Santino drops him over the top rope. Santino goes up high and comes down, but Sandow moves. Sandow hits the end for the finisher. For the win. Ziggler is backstage venting to Vicky Guerrero about how he had to tag with Big Show. Vicky says she's starting to lose a little faith. Ziggler wants a rematch against Cena at TLC. Ziggler goes to hook Vicky, but she's hesitant. Vicky walks in her office, and there's Brad Maddox with his personal cameraman. Maddox says he's here to make sure nobody will forget his name. We go to commercial. Back for the break, and Vicky is backstage arguing with Maddox. Maddox convinces Vicky to put him on TV tonight. If he wins, he earns a WWE contract. So we get Sin Cara versus Alberto Del Rio in one of his best matches. Sin Cara made his way to the ring, followed by Alberto Del Rio. Then we go back forth to start the match as Ricardo Rodriguez looks on. Del Rio goes to take the mask off in the corner, but nails Cara with shoulder thrust. Del Rio with a more offense and a 2 count. Cara springboards back in. And things change and unloads on Del Rio. Cara unloads with kicks and works on the arm for another 2 count. Del Rio turns it around and covers Cara for a 2. Cara tries to fight back, but Del Rio slams him to the mat. Del Rio ends up on the apron and gets kicked in the mouth. Cara runs off the apron and sends Del Rio into the fan barrier. We go to commercial. Back from the break, and Cara is in control. Cara tries to springboard in, but Del Rio shoves him off of the apron and to the floor. Del Rio goes to the floor and works Cara over, throwing him into the fan barrier. Del Rio brings it back in the ring and tries to take the mask off again. They go back and forth. Del Rio with a back suplex for a 2. Cara ends up hitting the big DDT out of the corner. They trade shots back and forth. Del Rio ends up hitting the crossarm breaker for the win. Vince McMahon is walking backstage. He stops a staffer and tells him to inform Vicky Guerrero that he wants to chat with her in the ring right now. Commercial break. Back from the break, and we get a look back at the segment with The Miz and CM Punk from earlier. We go to the ring, and out comes Raw managing supervisor Vicky Guerrero to boos from the crowd as normal. And heck, I didn't hear her say her famous words. Excuse me. Thank God. Out next comes Vince McMahon to a nice pop from the crowd. Vicky sucks up to him and asks the fans to clap for Vince. Vicky brings up Cena versus Ziggler for TLC and says it will be epic. Vince says the match needs a stipulation of some kind. Vicky says it should be a no DQ match. The crowd boos. Vince whispers to Vicky, and he has a ladder match in mind. Vicky says that's impossible because Cena and Ziggler aren't champions. And if you have to have something to reach for, you're going to have to climb a ladder. Vince suggests Ziggler's briefcase be hanging above the ladder, and the crowd cheers. The match is made. Vince tells Vicky she can have a good rest of the night. Vicky goes to dismiss Vince, and here we go. Vince brings up the lie detector test that Punk will take tonight and suggests some action be taken against him if it's found out he's been lying. It looks like it will be Paul Heyman versus Ryback if Punk is found to be a liar later tonight. Vince's music hits and he makes his exit. This was a bullshit thing because the stipulation for that wasn't enforced. As Vince's music hits, and there's no chance in hell as he exits the ring. Commercial break, and after the break, then we finally get Brad Maddox and a mystery opponent. And it's none other than, I hear voices in my head, they talk to me, they understand. Randy Orton. Back for the break, and out comes Maddox to no music, similar to my debut in Texas Elite Wrestling. If Maddox wins this match, he will earn a WWE contract. Out comes his opponent, Randy Orton, to a huge pop. Bell rings, and Maddox stalls. He goes to the apron, but Orton grabs him and hits him with a forearm shot. Orton gets caught with an elbow in the mouth, and he gets pissed. Orton goes to the floor and clotheslines Maddox. Orton brings it back in the ring and takes Maddox to the apron for the second rope draping DDT. And then he nails RKO for the easy win. Still to come, CM Punk will be on Miz TV. Back to commercial. Back from the break, Vicky is yelling at referee Charles Robinson, and then she gets into it with Ziggler. Ziggler says she's becoming just like AJ, and storms off. Paul Heyman comes in and goes face to face with Vicky. The stare down. Heck, I thought they were going to kiss for a couple of minutes. And thanks to my buddy Robert for allowing me to come over and watch the 3-hour Raw with the fast forward during the commercials. Right before Impact. Ziggler said back to where Heyman leaves, and then in comes John Cena. Cena gives Vicky props for making the match at TLC. He thanks her, and she just keeps getting more upset. Cena says when he gets the briefcase again, he will be champion and won't fail this time. Cena thanks Vicky again and walks off. She stops him. She had the Divas locker room cleaned out last week, and they found AJ's hair bows with Cena's face in the middle. Cena says Vicky has wasted everyone's time for weeks now, and they go on, and Cena walks out. Next, we got Kofi Kingston and R-Truth versus Wade Barrett and Antonio Cesaro. Former tag team champions Kofi and R-Truth. We go to the ring, and out comes Intercontinental Champion Kofi. His partner waits in the ring, as does Wade Barrett, and United States Champion Antonio Cesaro. Before the bell, Teddy Long comes out and makes it a fatal 4-way match instead. Teddy asks whose title will be on the line. Kofi's IC title or Antonio's US title. Teddy leads it up for the fans to vote. With the Raw active poll, the options are WWE, hashtag WWE US, and hashtag WWE IC. Back to commercial. And the fans vote for the US title match. Kofi Kingston versus R-Truth versus Antonio Cesaro versus Wade Barrett. Back from the break, and it's revealed that the match will be a fatal 4-way for the US title. Cesaro kisses his title and hands it off as we get ready to start the match. Barrett and Truth get sent to the floor while Cesaro and Kofi go at it. The two champions go back and forth. Cesaro runs his mouth but keeps control of Kofi. Barrett with a big clothesline and Truth on the floor. Cesaro runs into a kick from Kofi. And Barrett sends Cesaro to the floor. Barrett and Kofi go at it. Barrett with a big pump handle slam for a 2 count. Kofi ducks the clothesline from Barrett and drop kicks him out of the ring to take out Cesaro. Truth comes in and goes at it with Barrett, sending him out to the floor. It's down to Kofi and Truth in the ring. They face off, shake hands, and go at it. Barrett and Cesaro fight their way in the end now. Kofi ends up sending Cesaro back to the floor. Barrett goes back to the floor. Kofi leaps to the floor and takes out Barrett. Truth springboards out, but Cesaro moves. Cesaro rams Truth back into the fan barrier. Kofi runs around the ring and leaps off the steel steps at Cesaro, but Cesaro knocks him out of the air with a big uppercut. Cesaro brings Kofi back in the ring as they go to commercial. Back from the break, Cesaro's going at it with Kofi as they're showing a replay of the big uppercut from Cesaro. Cesaro swings Kofi around and turns it into a half Boston Crab. Truth comes in and goes at it with Cesaro now. Truth with a face buster, but Barrett sends him out to the floor. Cesaro uppercuts Barrett, and they trade shots. Cesaro nails a big uppercut, but Kofi leaps off the top with a crossbody for a 2 count out of nowhere. Barrett nails a big side slam on Kofi for a 2 count. Truth comes in and hits a big scissor kick on Barrett for another pin attempt. Barrett mule kick Truth and worked him over. Barrett takes Truth to the top for a suplex, but Truth fights him off and lands on the mat. Cesaro runs over and fights Truth in the corner. Cesaro climbs up, but Kofi ran up, takes him to the mat. Barrett runs back to Truth, but Truth blocks the superplex. Kofi comes over and powerbombs Barrett and Truth at the same time. 2 count as Cesaro breaks a pin. Cesaro blocks the SOS and drops Kofi for another close 2 count of his own. Truth then catapults Cesaro and sends them both out to the floor. Barrett goes to work on Kofi. Kofi countered and unloaded with some shots. Kofi hits a boom drop and calls for trouble in paradise. Cesaro pulled him out of the ring, and he comes in. Cesaro grabs Barrett for the neutralizer, but Truth breaks it up. Barrett nailed the bullhammer elbow on Truth. Kofi nailed trouble in paradise on Barrett, but Cesaro broke it up. Cesaro with a neutralizer on Kofi for the win. Coleslaw and the King talk about lie detector tests CM Punk has to take tonight on Miz TV. Go to commercial. Back for the break, and it's Miz TV set up in the ring. Miz has a man there from the Sheriff's Department to administer the lie detector test on CM Punk. There's none other than supposedly the Sheriff himself. Miz brings out his guest, and here comes the WWE Champion with Paul Heyman. Punk comes out and gets strapped in for the lie detector test. Miz explains the test as Punk cuts him off many times. Punk rips into the fans. Miz and his WWE title reign. Miz reminds everyone that Heyman has to face Ryback next week if Punk is found out to be lying. Miz asks some basic questions to get the lie detector going. We see the test scrolling up on the big screen. Miz asks if Punk thinks he can beat Ryback by himself. Punk answers yes, and the test shows that he could have been lying. Punk says that doesn't mean anything because it was an opinion. Miz asks if Punk worked with Maddox at Hell in a Cell and the Shield at Survivor Series. Out of nowhere, Rollins pulls Miz out of the ring and beats him down as Reigns and Ambrose tear the Miz TV set apart, and the Shield starts beating down Miz. They lay Miz out with a three-man power bomb. Kane and Daniel Bryan come out for the save and go at it with the Shield. Reigns takes Bryan in the corner while Ambrose and Rollins work over Kane. Ryback runs down and cleans house of the Shield, Ryback dumps Ambrose to the floor and goes out after him. Ryback tosses Ambrose into the crowd and beats him around. Kane and Bryan are going at it with Reigns and Rollins now. Punk is alone in the ring. He taunts Miz and stomps on him before kicking him out of the ring. Punk's music hits and he celebrates. Punk turns around to Ryback. Ryback kicks him and nails him with a shell shock. Ryback goes under the ring and brings a ladder and a steel chair in the ring. Ryback hits Punk with a ladder and then the chair. Ryback goes back under the ring and brings a table out. Ryback sets up the table in the ring and power bombs Punk through it. Raw goes off the air with Ryback and fans posing, chanting, "Feed me more." Well, that ends the Raw portion. But after Raw went off the air, there was a dark match. I think Punk versus Ryback again, and I don't know who won the match, but I believe it could have been a stoppage or something because of there was an injury on CM Punk and something with his knee, and he's having surgery, and he's now removed from the TLC pay-per-view. And that ends my results for this week. Thanks for viewing. Peace out. God bless.